So the question, really, if you want to get down to who the liars really are, the question really is, whose fault is the migrant crisis? Whose fault is it that we didn't take down Assad? Whose fault is it that after he crossed the red line, dropping chemical weapons on his own people, whose fault is it that America did not intervene and take him out? Oh, Obama let him slide after Obama turned his back on America. Obama went back on his word. And that's why? Because that's what these channels say. That's the lie that they're telling you. Okay?
Diane, the president is well aware of how the country feels about involvement in Syria, but he is determined to carry out a military strike, and today
2 years
the
ago.
hard sell began.
2 years ago.
Marshall, very nice.
Welcome.
The president came roaring out of the gate today, just after 9 this morning. The leaders of Congress summoned to the White House. At 9:45, even before the meeting starts, the pitch for a strike begins, hitting one of the top concerns head on.
It is limited. It does not involve boots on the ground. This is not Iraq, and this is not Afghanistan.
It's just 90 minutes later, after hearing from the president about evidence the Assad regime used chemical weapons against its own people,
90 minutes after they were having this meeting.
leaders from both parties say they are on board, that it is time for America to act.
I believe that my colleagues should support this call for action.
So Obama, 90 minutes later, already had John Boehner on board with an airstrike to decapitate the Assad regime, to go to war with Syria in defense of its civilian population, which would have prevented the entire migrant crisis from happening. So let's see whose fault it is. Let's see who could have possibly opposed such a thing. You know, I understand poll numbers are one thing, but it would have had to have been some sort of obstructionist in a particular branch of government who's got known ties to Russia for all my theories to be right. And for all these other troll channels, all these communist propaganda network affiliates to be liars and heathen scum.
Hundreds of children were killed, and we must respond.
2:30
That was Nancy Pelosi.
p.m. The president's national security team moves to Capitol Hill to make the strongest pitch yet.
Some have tried to suggest that the debate we're having today is about President Obama's red line.
Drum roll, please.
This debate is about the world's red line. It's about humanity's red line. And it's a red line that anyone with a conscience ought to draw.
But not everyone was convinced, judging from this testy exchange with Senator Rand Paul.
If you're not...
Dun, dun, dun. Rand Paul. The infiltrator. I'm sure Ted Cruz was right there along his side.
If America doesn't do this, Senator, is it more or less likely that Assad does it again? You want to answer that question?
I don't think it's no. I don't think
Is it more or less likely that he does it again?
Oh, but Rand Paul is the good guy. He's the one who's against the establishment, right? He's the real American, right? He's the responsible Republican, right? Everybody says, if we don't do this, he's going to drop more chemical weapons. There's going to be more disaster, okay?
The attack, I think it's unknown whether it's more
It's
or less
unknown.
whether you have the attack.
Senator, it's not unknown.
And he just said, oh, we don't know if he's going to use more chemical weapons. We don't know if he's going to keep barrel bombing his people.
And away from the Capitol, as our poll showed, most of the everyday Americans speaking to our Tell Washington cameras were skeptical.
And here's the bullshit you got, Phil.
That we should not go to war with Syria. We should just mind our own business.
Obama going in alone would not be the best course of action.
For me, I think that our troops been through enough. I think that enough is enough.
Diane, so at the end of the day, the president did make some progress with leadership on the Hill, but many members remain skeptical about this action, as does the public. This is not going to be easy.
And
Nope. I imagine it wasn't easy. Nancy Pelosi, John Boehner, both on board. But the guy who, gets invited to speak on RT all the time, the guy who's representative of the false truth movement, the closest thing they have to a star in the White House or in the government or whatever, Congress, in the city, in the Capitol. He's there legging the door. And basically the entire migrant crisis is his fault, not Obama's. Ain't that a bitch?